Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the March 15th, 2021 Elyria City Council meeting minute. At this time, I'd like to have everyone stand for a moment of reflective silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Sear, would you please lead us in the pledge? So for those individuals who are going through the Zoom, some people will be doing it virtually and some will be, obviously most council members are here, so, and as well as maybe some department heads through that. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of that. Mr. Clerk, a roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Callahan.
Here.
Mr. Sira. Here. Mr. Oswald.
Here.
Mr. Baird.
Here.
Mrs. Mitchell.
Here.
Mr. Tollett.
Here.
Mrs. Simmons.
Here.
Mrs. Davis.
Here.
Mrs. Keys.
Here.
Mr. Jesse. Mr. Stewart.
Here.
We have one absent, Mr. Jesse. He has excuse here.
Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Mr. Sarah, second by Ms. Mitchell. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Public hearings.
An ordinance amending section 1131.02 codified ordinances of the city of Elyria, Ohio, known as the zoning ordinance, to overlay a L-1 light industrial district over a B-G business general district as set forth in chapter 1176, redevelopment overlay district, RDOD, codified ordinances of the city of Elyria, Ohio, for real property located at Midway Mall, Elyria, Ohio, and owned by Elyria Midway Mall, LLC, Elyria Realty, LLC, Midway Nassam, LLC, Elyria 4000 Midway Mall, LLC, and KE Elyria, LLC, and declare an emergency.
Are there any proponents? Are there any proponents? Are there any proponents? Are there any opponents? Are there any opponents? Are there any opponents? I declare this public hearing has been held.
Sponsored by Community Development. An ordinance amending section 1131.02 codified ordinances of the city of Elyria, Ohio, known as the zoning ordinance, to overlay a L-1 light industrial district, overlay a B-G business general district as set forth in chapter 1176 redevelopment overlay district, RDOD, codified ordinances of the city of Elyria, Ohio, for real property located at Midway Mall, Elyria, Ohio, and owned by Elyria Midway Mall, LLC, Elyria Realty, LLC, Midway Nassam, LLC, Elyria 4000 Midway Mall, LLC, and KE Elyria, LLC, and declare an emergency.
Mr. Callahan.
Mr. President, I move that this ordinance be passed under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second.
Second by Ms. Mitchell. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
Question's been called. Question's been called on the suspension. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2021-48. You are hereby notified that a public hearing will be held on Monday, March 15th, 2021 at 7 p.m. during a virtual Elyria City Council meeting to consider the following. An ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Chapter 1135 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Elyria, Ohio, to Dominic D. Price and Courtney R. Price for Type A in-home child care at real property located at 108 Regency Court, Elyria, Ohio.
Are there any proponents? Are there any proponents? Are there any proponents? Are there any opponents? Are there any opponents? Are there any opponents? I declare this public hearing has been held.
Sponsored by Community Development. An ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Chapter 1135 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Elyria, Ohio, to Dominic D. Price and Courtney R. Price for Type A in-home child care at real property located at 108 Regency Court, Elyria, Ohio.
Mr. Callahan.
Mr. President, I move that this ordinance be passed under suspension of rules.
Second.
Second by Ms. Mitchell. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
Question has been called. On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2021-49. That's all public hearings.
Can I get approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Sierra.
Second.
Second by Mr. Tolet. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Remarks and reports from city officials. Mayor Whitfield.
Thank you, Council President, and good evening to all City Council. I just want to start off by acknowledging today is the day that we lost our very own James Kerstetter on this day in 2010, and I know Chief Whiteley is going to give some remarks on that here in a minute, but definitely want to recognize that. Also want to thank you all for moving so expediently on this Midway Mall zoning overlay. This is exciting. Today makes it official that the door is open for new opportunities for Midway Mall, so I'm excited about that. Also, as many of you know, the American Rescue Plan was passed, and so we're thankful for the federal government for helping put money in people's pockets and providing assistance that's needed. We're expecting to receive more guidance from the Treasury in the next week or so, and we'll do like we did with the CARES Act and have dialogue and figure out what's the best way we can utilize these resources. Yeah, just excited about continuing to move forward, so thank you.
Very good. Any questions for the mayor? No? Thank you, Mayor. Safety Service Director Brubaker.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a real quick update on the demo that's going on downtown. On their old Revco building, by the end of tomorrow, they will have all of that debris gone, which they took that down a number of weeks ago. On the Uncle Vic's Mardi Gras building, what they had to do in order to reach that tall elevator, they had to build a ramp, which means they had to use debris, and it took a little while to do that. They are at a point now that the asbestos survey came back, and the Mardi Gras part of the building that they've already taken down has come back asbestos clean. So they'll be able to remove that material. What they plan on doing starting next week is taking that mound of material and putting it where Revco is, and then hauling it away from there so they continue the demolition. And then once they get the Mardi Gras building down, they have to abate the Uncle Vic's portion of the building because that does have asbestos in it. And then what we'll do is they will transition over to Kerstetter Way to take that down, and that'll allow us to open up Washington Avenue. And we're hopeful that we have that open by mid-April, April 15th or sooner. But that is our intent, is to get that road open, and the contractor, as well as Mr. Flanagan and his maintenance guy on staff, has said they understand that's important.
Okay, very good. Any questions for Mr. Brubaker? Thank you. Finance Director Plesky.
Thank you, Mr. President. We received our second distribution from the Regional Income Tax Agency last week. The second distribution was a little bit better. It was only down $26,018 as compared to the second distribution in March of 2020. However, the two distributions this month as compared to the two distributions in March of 2020 are down $507,002, and that's a drop of 19.75%. So we're still going in the wrong direction as far as the revenues are concerned.
Thank you, Mr. Pulaski. Any questions to Mr. Pulaski? Mr. Tolet.
Through you, Mr. President. So year-to-date, do you have the year-to-date figures of where we're at?
From Regional Income Tax Agency, this is just the distribution. See, that we kind of go by, we get January's collection, or December's in January, but just looking at the first two periods of the year, we're down about 200,000.
So roughly 10% versus prior?
Yeah, not quite 10, probably below 10%, but this March certainly, I mean, we were up going into March, but then this kind of hit us pretty hard, but so we're, it's still, I projected a 5% drop in income tax revenues on my estimates, and I took a look at it, and we're still coming under the 5%. So we're still below that 5% estimate, so which is good. But if we keep having months like we did in March, we're really going to drop fast. So,
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tolet. Any other questions for Mr. Pulaski? Thank you. Law Director Deary.
No report, Mr. President.
Elyria Police Department, Chief Whiteley.
Good evening. I have a couple things to go over. The first thing is I don't know if you all realized, but last Monday the mayor swore in 5 new Elyria police officers. One is already in the academy. We're going to continue that till he's finished. He'll finish at the end of May. The others all have to go to the police academy. So they started today with their first day in the academy, and they'll probably be ending up in August, September timeframe before they can come out and join our FTO program. So anytime we hire somebody we put through the academy, it's almost a year before they're able to be on the road by themselves. So when we have people leave and then we hire people to replace them, we're behind the curve when we do that, but that's the way it works. So that's what we have. I'd like to ask for a referral every year or maybe every 2 years since around 2007 when we joined the Northern Ohio Violent Crime Consortium through the U.S. Attorney's Office. They apply for grants, and there are 8 cities that are recipients of those grants, and Elyria is one of them. These all go through the police departments. For this grant coming up that we need approval for, I don't have specifics for the dollar amount and what it'll be used for yet, but we need to get permission for the mayor to enter into discussions for a grant so we can move forward and take care of those. I would imagine it won't be more than 30,000, but 30,000.
Sure. Okay. We'll have that referred to finance.
Okay.
All right.
And the last thing I wanted to talk about was, like the mayor mentioned, 11 years ago today, Officer Kerstetter was killed in the line of duty. It's a very difficult day for the department and especially the family. We did do a memorial today. We did a wreath laying. We did not advertise it because of COVID, but the family was there and there were some city officials there. The mayor, the director were there. The HR director was there. And several retired officers as well as officers who are on the department now. And it's just a very somber day for us, and those of us who were there will never forget it. But interestingly enough, I think probably around 65% of our department weren't here when that happened. We've hired that many since 2014. So we try to keep that memory alive. We want to make sure that we're there for the family and that our new officers understand the perils of the job. Not sure how many of you knew Jimmy, but he was one of those guys who could smooth talk anybody, calm them down, relax them. Unfortunately, that night he didn't get a chance to do that.
Yeah, that was a very tragic day in the city. And we still to this day, obviously, the impacts that it's having on our, obviously, the police department and just within our city, just to remember that. So, again, our thoughts and prayers go out to the family and to the officers in blue during that day, what's happened, you know. So, again, we appreciate what you do and the men and women down at the Elyria Police Department putting their lives on the line every day. So, thank you, Chief. Any questions for the Chief? Thank you. Elyria Fire Department, Chief Mack.
He's muted.
I thought I seen him on there before.
He is on. You're muted.
Yes, sir. Through you, Mr. President, I have no report, but I am available for any questions that any council member may have.
Any questions for the Chief? No questions, Chief. Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Engineering Department, Ms. McKillips.
No report, Mr. President.
All right, very good, thank you. Assistant Safety Service Director Firestein.
Thank you, Mr. President. No report tonight, but I just want to highlight that our summer season is coming upon us, and we are in need of part-time seasonals for a lot of our departments. So if anyone out there, especially council, knows of any great candidates, please send them our way. We want to meet them, interact with them, and find the best spot for them. But outside of that, I'm open for any questions. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Firestein? Mr. Sarah.
Through you, what kind of positions are we looking to fill?
Mainly labor positions within water distribution, street department, parks department, boating and lands, the various different departments throughout the city.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Firestein? No, very good. Ms. Flanders.
Good evening, everyone. Through you, Mr. President. Just wanted to update everyone. Mayor shared last week online and then to you all about a sponsorship that we're going to be eager to announce more details about later on. But just wanted to let residents and you all know that computer training classes will be starting back up for residents. To let us know that you're interested in that, if you would like to sign up when they are available, you can just visit ElyriaCares.com. Again, they can just visit ElyriaCares.com.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Flanders. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Flanders? All right. Mr. Corzan, wastewater.
No report, Mr. President.
All right. President's referrals and remonstrances. Item number 1, Community Development Finance. Item number 2, Community Development Finance. Item number 3, Finance. Item number 4, Finance. Item number 5, Finance. Item number 6, Utilities. Item number 7, Utilities. Item number 8, Utilities. Item number 9, Utilities. Item number 10, Utilities. Items 11 through 13 received and placed on file in the clerk's office.
Mr. President,
Yes, Ms. Mitchell.
item number 3 is a liquor license. Wouldn't that go to community development?
We can refer that to item number 3. We'll go to community development.
Thank you.
Thank you. Petitions and remonstrances from the lobby.
There are none?
I'm going to skip one. My fault.
You did.
Petitions and remonstrances from council members.
There are none.
All right. Reports of standing of special committees.
There are none.
Resolutions, first reading.
Sponsored by Community Development. A resolution in support of Amtrak proposed expansion of passenger rail service in Ohio and for congressional action to authorize and appropriate funds for said expansion.
Mr. Callahan.
Yeah, Mr. President, I move that this resolution be passed under suspension of rules.
Second?
Second by Ms. Mitchell. Is there any further discussion? Question's been called. On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Resolution 2021-7. Sponsored by Finance. A resolution approving a list submitted by the Safety Service Director for collection of delinquent, inactive utility accounts and directing the Clerk of Council to certify said accounts to the Lorraine County Auditor.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this resolution be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second by Mr. Baird.
Question?
Question's been called. On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Yes.
On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Resolution 2021-8. That's all resolutions first reading.
Resolutions second reading.
There are none.
Resolutions third reading.
There are none.
Ordinances first reading.
Sponsored by Finance, an ordinance to authorize the permanent appropriations of the City of Elyria, Ohio for the year 2021.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second?
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion?
Question?
Question's been called. On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2021-50. Sponsored by Finance, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a second amendment to the water agreement between the City of North Ridgeville and the City of Elyria and declare an emergency.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second?
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion?
Question?
Question's been called. On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2021-51. Sponsored by Finance. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Evoqua Water Technologies for the repair of the traveling water screen at the water pumping plant.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second?
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion?
Question?
Question's been called. On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2021-52. Sponsored by Finance. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to submit an application to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, ODNR, and accept, if offered, the Recreational Trails Program grant for the Parks and Recreation Department and declare an emergency.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second?
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion?
Question?
Question's been called. On this suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2021-53. Sponsored by Finance. An ordinance codifying the Employees Hospitalization Plan Committee.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
Question's been called. On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2021-54. That's all ordinances first reading.
Ordinance's second reading.
There are none.
Ordinance's third reading.
There are none.
Committee calls.
Community Development. Request the presence of the Law Director, Safety Service Director, Building Inspector, and Engineer on 3/29/21, streamed live, 6 p.m., followed by joint with Finance. All items referred. Finance requests the Mayor, Law Director, Finance Director, Safety Service Director, and Engineer on 3/29, streamed live, immediately following the joint with Community Development. All items referred. Utility, Safety, and Environment requests the Law Director, Safety Service Director, and Engineer on 3/24/21 at 6 p.m. All items referred. And Strategic Planning requests the Mayor, Safety Service Director, Auditor, and Solicitor on 4/5/21, streamed live, immediately following council. All items referred.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Miscellaneous and unfinished business.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Pileski.
just a reminder to the clerk's office that I'll need a certified copy of the permanent appropriation ordinance to be filed with the Lorraine County Budget Commission. Yeah.
All right. At this time, I would like to recognize Miss Carol Billman. This is Carol's last meeting that she will be serving us for the many years of service that she's done for the city. And Carol, you've done a tremendous job. Since I've come on council, and I'm sure for everybody, they may weigh in as well, but you've done a tremendous job in being a mentor to me and showing me the ropes and guiding me in many ways that defining the information that we needed to make sure that we can get back to our residents and giving them that information. So I really appreciate your service, your commitment, your time, but most importantly, your friendship. So I wish you nothing but the best in the years to come. Thank you. Mr. Baird.
There, that's better. You have to get these fixed so I turn them on right time. But, I guess I'm probably the only one that's here longer than Carol, although she's done more because she's been here every day. But it's been a good experience, and as Vic said, keeps us on the straight and narrow and out of trouble. That's what we need from that office, and I think over the years it's always been good. And Carol's been kind of the anchor that's kept it there. So we appreciate your help and your guidance, and look forward to your enjoyable retirement. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Baird. Ms. Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. President, through you. When I came on council 12 years ago, I knew absolutely nothing. I still don't know a lot, but Carol was very instrumental in guiding me and helping me and showing me the ropes. But most importantly, she became my friend. So, Carol, I wish you nothing but the best. I hope you enjoy your retirement, and don't worry about this place. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. Thank you, Ms. Davis.
Through you, Mr. President. Also, I would like to thank you, Carol, for being a friend. And I know you will enjoy your retirement. It's nothing like it. Come take care of yourself. I know you enjoy, and I know we could call you and count on you anytime we need some information, because you still have it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right.
Yeah, I'll make a comment.
Mayor?
So Carol, thank you, as the true newbie coming into here, the time we got a chance to spend and, just thinking about one thing that I take away from is, you told me make sure I listen to my wife. So, that is something that's stuck with me, and I just appreciate us being able to drop in at the last minute and ask for favors, and you just always, you put me in my place, but then you help me out as well. So I appreciate you big time. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Brubaker.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through Ms. Billman, it's been a pleasure to work with you. I think you only yelled at me maybe 5 or 6 times over the course, but you were a stickler for the rules, but you always seemed to bend them for me when I really needed something, and I appreciate your friendship and Dan's friendship, and I wish you nothing but the best, and I'm sure hopefully I'll see you in 60 days.
All right, good. Anybody else?
Sure.
I know Carol will be here. She'll be here. Who's that? Mr. Callahan.
Yeah. Sorry, Mr. President. For some reason, you can't see me, but you can hear me, I guess. Yeah, I would like to say thank you to Carol Billman as well. I have very much appreciated her updating me on anything that's going to come before the community development meeting on a weekly basis. And sometimes it's a last minute deal. And she always gets me that information on time, helps me with the questions that I have. So I want to say, first off, thank you very much, Carol, for that. Thank you for your friendship. My best to you in the future. Take care of Dan and enjoy your retirement. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Billman, this is her last full council meeting, but she'll still be here till the end of the month. I think the 26th is her last day, so she's gonna, mentor Reagan, who is our newest addition to the council clerk's office. So we look forward to that transition over and through there. So with that being said, Mr. Baird.
Hearing nothing further, move we adjourn.
Second by Ms. Mitchell. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. This meeting is adjourned.